Well, hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Melissa. I'm the owner and artist here at the Top Drawer RVA located in Richmond, Virginia. I'm also a Dixie Belle brand ambassador. And today's project is actually a little bit different. This is something I normally don't do. I picked up this little painted chest from my local Goodwill for about $21. I very, very rarely grab items that have already been painted. And the reason why is because of the amount of prep work it takes to get a project ready to be repainted. But I couldn't resist the bones of this piece. It's super cute. I have a thing for little cabinets. Even though it is filthy inside and the finish is failing, I'm going to teach you today how to fix this failing finish and get it ready for proper paint. So first things first, clean the entire project with white lightning, inside and out. Do you see the stains on the inside of this piece? Then I'm going to come in and remove the hardware. It's broken on the bottom part of the door and this hardware doesn't screw in. So I actually have to get in with my little chisel and hammer and remove it entirely. Don't worry, we can fix the big gaping hole that is going to be left, I promise. All you need is a little bit of Dixie Belle's mud. If you felt like the hole was too big or it fell through to the back of the drawer, you could always prep that hole with a couple wooden dowels before you came in and applied your mud. But these holes don't go through the whole entire drawer. They just kind of are a halfway hole. So my plan is to fill them with mud and then sand them back to flat. So once I finished removing the hardware, I moved on to this failing paint job. The paint is literally cracking off in my fingers and fingernails when I'm touching it. That tells me that this was painted without proper prep. It's kind of a Mexican style cabinet. I don't know if you've seen them before. They have the areas on the front that have metal hinges and decor, but they're usually heavily waxed, and I'm guessing that is the problem underneath this paint. So the plan is to remove as much of the failing finish as I can and get it ready for prep. I use my Carbide Scraper to scrape off all of the loose finish on the top where it was the worst. It was not as bad on the sides, and then came in with my Surf Prep sander and sanded the entire thing. Obviously not down to the bare naked wood, just removing all of the finish that was flaking and coming off. I'm going to link my Surf Prep Sander affiliate link in the description below. I freaking love this tool. Out of all the things that I've bought as a furniture painter, this one has come in super duper handy because I paint inside my house. Remember, my dining room is actually my studio now. So this Surf Prep Sander hooks up to the vacuum cleaner and really helps me get the job done. So now we're ready for the next step. Wipe down your piece, making sure that there's nothing left flaking on the wood. Then do any repairs that you need to with mud. We're going to get out the mud, fill in those holes, and fill in some cracks that are in the wood. Really get your fingernails up in and around things like this. This little wooden decor piece was nailed on at one point, but they were all loose. So I actually glued them down with wood before I began the next part of my project. So this mud is going to fill in these holes, and I really like using mud because it sands back completely flat. It becomes very powdery when you sand it, and you can't even tell where that hole was. What I would not do is drill a new hole through mud. I wouldn't want the cracking to happen, so I'll be putting the hardware in a different spot on this piece. So fill in your holes, fill in your cracks, fill in your gaps, and you are then ready for the next step in your project. So what is the next step after you get all of this part done? Well, it is sanding back your mud and then doing a little bit of cleanup. Make sure to wait until your mud is like 100% dry before you sand it back, and don't use a heat gun. So just wait for it to get dry, usually about 4 to 6 hours, and you're good to go depending on the thickness. So after I finished getting in here and sanding back my mess, I still had paint chips all over the floor and obviously all of this dust. What am I going to do? I'm going to get out something new, y'all. I got a brand new shop friend. I got a little handy dandy robot vacuum cleaner for my space. This is a little Prosenic robot vacuum, and I am going to just let it run around me and do my dirty work because I am not a very good cleaner and I sit on the floor. So I'm just going to turn this little guy on when I'm working now and let him run around and clean up my space. He drives around, he has a motion sensor, he bangs into things and turns around again, and he's going to get my little workshop like handy dandy, spiffy clean and ready for paint. This little robot vacuum actually has a mopping feature as well. I haven't tried it yet, but for now, this is going to be my new best friend in the shop. If you have a name suggestion for him, let me know. All right, we are finally ready. This piece is going to need something called Slick Stick and or Bonding Boss. Now, why do I have two products called Slick Stick and Bonding Boss? Well, Slick Stick and regular Boss are actually being phased out. The newest product from Dixie Belle is going to be a 2-in-1 Bonding Boss, which is going to be capable of blocking stains, odor, and bleed through, as well as giving you the adherence that you need to get your projects ready for paint. I like to apply my Bonding Boss and or Slick Stick with a foam roller. When I'm done applying 2 even coats of waiting approximately 2 to 4 hours in between coats of Slick Stick, I can then just throw that little roller into the trash. I don't want to wash and use my good brushes for Slick Stick or Bonding Boss. I don't want to put that stuff down the drain. So my goal is use it, put it on, get it ready for paint, and then throw it in the bin. So since I'm going to be doing an ombre effect, I want to start off with a nice strong base coat. I do this quite often when it comes to ombre, especially if I use Terra Clay paint. I'm going to apply 1 even coat of Gravel Road, which is a nice kind of smoky gray. What this is going to do is give me the darkness that I need to cover up that white Slick Stick and get me ready for my ombre effect. I'm going to add this Woodubend molding to the top drawer of the piece. Remember, I filled in a really big hole with mud. So filling in that hole with mud means that I want to find a new place to drill my hardware hole. I grabbed some really cute hardware off of Amazon. It was super cheap. I totally recommend Amazon for hardware. You can always find your best deals and search a huge range. So what I did was heat up the back of my Woodubend molding with my heat gun, apply wood glue, and then adhere it to the drawer. So this little bendy Woodubend is going to sit there on the top of the drawer, and then that's going to give me a new back plate to drill a hole for my hardware. I'm going to show you here where the hardware is going to sit. It's actually going to be above where the original hole was and right through that Woodubend. You can drill through Woodubends, paint through Woodubends, whatever you want to do to them. You can do like wood. They're super fun to use, and I always have a couple handy for situations like this. Well, hello Dixie Belle paint fans. How are you today? It is Melissa from the Top Drawer RVA coming to you live because it is Wednesday and I'm live every Wednesday at 3 p.m. to sit on the floor and play with some paint. And of course, as soon as I start talking, my puppy gets up to come see me. Go lay down. Go on. I even put my sweater on the floor for her to like lay on so she wouldn't come over here and bother me, but that's not going to happen. Don't knock over. Okay, good. She's going. So what do we have? We have a new project today. And if you know me, I like to start a new project, multiple projects every Wednesday. And today we have a cute little cabinet. And she is rustic and a little rough around the edges. But I thought we could get in here today and paint with some color and see what is going on. So if you are a new person joining me for the first time, you've never tuned in before to hang out and watch me, welcome. Come in and say hello in the comments. If you're back again for more because you like to hang out with me every Wednesday, thanks for joining me. So I have some colors on the floor and some brushes on the floor. A spray misting bottle filled with water. This little cabinet I purchased, and I normally don't purchase cabinets that are already painted, but it was already painted and it was painted poorly, okay? It was painted in a coral color that was flaking and coming off of the actual piece of furniture. Like if you scratched it, you could scratch off the color that was on there. So I got it at the Goodwill though for $21, and the handles were wood and inset. I broke them off because one was broken. So I actually took my little multi-tool, put it in behind and hammered off the hardware and took it off completely. When I say it's a rustic cabinet, this is what I mean. Like it's somebody, I want to say probably handmade this, or this is one of those Mexican style cabinets. It's got some love in there. I'm going to have to paint the interior of this piece as well because
Yikes, it is not cute. I added a Woodubend molding today to this, and I did a quick little short on my YouTube if you want to check it out. This is Woodubend number 2092. It comes in a package of 2. All you need to do is heat up the backing, apply wood glue, and then stick it on the piece. My thought is, because this cabinet like has some detail on here that's metal and then these little wood rounds, and it's kind of cute, right? I was like, let's spiff it up a little bit and add some unique hardware. So I had this piece of hardware that I purchased off of Amazon, and I thought I could attach it behind, like the Woodubend would be behind the hardware. What do we think of that? Pretty cute, right? And then my thought process was, the original hardware was over here. I could either put it back here, or I could even put it like in the middle of the cabinet. Both are adorable. So the hardware is like a burnished gold with a little bit of oil rubbed in the background. I didn't know what color to paint this beauty. I really didn't. I was thinking about it and thinking about it. And finally today I decided on greens. So we're going to paint this cabinet in different shades of green. And I'm going to start on the side, since that's usually what I do when I'm not 100% sure on my choice. Does that make sense? Like, if you ever see me starting on the side of a piece, it's a good way to kind of work through a process, because it's not the front. It's not as daunting as the front. It's not as like front and center going, oh my gosh, what do I do? You can kind of play with your color and your paint and decide what you're going to do on the side. I'm going to show you the back. I did paint the back as well today. I did a base coat of gravel road, and you can see how rustic this cabinet is. There's a lot of pine, a lot of knots, you know, some kind of like faux gouges and things. So we're going to keep it rustic. My thought process is greens and possibly adding texture with some of the green. So when I say adding texture, I won't be painting nice and smooth. This brush is wet. I won't be painting nice and smooth. I'll be probably like even stippling on my paint to get some texture to this piece as well. All right, so I'm going to move you over so you can see exactly what I'm doing, and we are going to jump right in and figure out how we are going to paint this piece. So why did I do a coat of gravel road? Does anybody know why I did a good base coat on this? Well, I had originally painted this cabinet in Slick Stick. Because I had to come in and sand off the existing paint that was on here, it was a failing finish. Whoever did this piece before me didn't do it properly. Prep is very, very, very important. So what I did was actually took out my Carbide Scraper, scraped off the top layers of paint, which really wasn't hard because the paint was coming off so much. And then I came in and I really just sanded the sides and the front. After I sanded the sides and the front, if there was anything that was kind of on here that I was unsure of, my thought process is you better use Bonding Boss or Slick Stick to really get this ready for paint. So since I had a little bit of Slick Stick left, I did 2 even coats of Slick Stick on here, and then I painted this gravel road on here today as a base for my colors of green. So let's jump in and just start putting some color down and see what happens. The colors I have on the floor today are the base coat, which is gravel road. I grabbed my Spanish, oh, I was a Spanish moss, but it's dried sage. I grabbed my dried sage, and I took in some from the Cottage Collection. There's English Ivy. I even took Palmetto, which I have a feeling is too much of a blue-green. I don't think I want to do blue-green. And I also took one silk color in Everglades. Now, normally silk paint, when you're using it on its own, you're using it for its properties of built-in top coat, built-in primer, right? If you're deciding you just want this color to mix in with other colors, I'm not using this based on its properties of blocking stains, tannins, and bleed through and a top coat. I'm just using this for the color. So if I'm going to be using water and mixing other colors in it, I will lose that strong property of it, but I think that I might want this color in here, this Everglades green. I haven't used it yet, to be honest. It's brand spanking new, but it's a really vibrant green. So I'm thinking we're gonna mix a bunch today and see what happens. When I look at the paint on the floor, let's see if I can aim you down. When I look at the colors on the floor, that Palmetto is sticking out like a sore thumb. That Palmetto is kind of a little bit too blue. So I have a feeling it's not gonna happen with the Palmetto, but we're gonna use the other colors. All right, so I have a couple brushes on the floor. My regular brushes are my smooth Dixie Belle synthetic brushes. And then I also grabbed a couple brushes that are natural fiber brushes that would be a little bit more for building texture, because you can see there's like chunks and hunks out of this piece. It's not perfect. It's rustic. We'll call it rustic to be nice, but in real words, kind of damaged, which is why it was only $21, right? So let's jump in here and see what happens. I also have on the floor my best dang brush for blending with a spray misting bottle, and we'll get to that part eventually. Let's lay down some color. All right. And now, of course, Luna is coming back. You know, Luna, there's no room for you over here. There's like a giant table in the way. Let me push this out of the way. Okay, now you can lay here. Do you like my sweater? I'm a slave to my children and my animals. Take my sweater. Here you go. Have a little lay down right there. Everybody, this is Luna. She's my old girl. And if she decides she wants to join the party, I let her because she's kind of the boss of me. So let's put the darkest color, which is Gravel Road, this brown color. Let's think that that's going to live in the creases. When I put Gravel Road, I mean, really? Her whole, do you see that? She like literally just backed up into me like a wide truck just to get out of here. I'm going to put the Gravel Road in like the dark. So having this nice base coat is going to allow me to blend the colors and leave them. If this base coat wasn't on here covering the white slick stick, what would happen is the base coat would be white, right? You're gonna have to work a lot harder, and I'm probably gonna need 2 coats of paint. This way I'm only gonna need 1 coat of paint. When you see me spraying my bottle, spraying my misting bottle with water in here, it's either just to move the paint and thin it, or when I come in and blend it. So there are some gouges in here. Just wanna make sure I get the paint inside these little gouges on here. Okay, and then the feet. I did paint the feet in Gravel Road. They're probably not going to stay that way. I'll make them green like the rest of the piece, or possibly even pure gold. We'll see how that goes. So this is Gravel Road. Are we good now? Are you sure? Now she's behind me. Now she's happy. Be a good girl. You stay right there. Perfect. So this is Gravel Road on this brush. I'm going to keep this brush separate, okay? I don't really want to mess that brush up. Let's look at my other colors. Dried Sage, English Ivy, that really vibrant green. I love this. I just don't know how it's going to go together, which is again why we're doing this in the side of the piece. Let's go to the second darkest color. So this is English Ivy. None of these colors, FYI, are going to stay true, if that makes sense. Like, you're not going to look at this and go, oh, I can tell exactly what color that is because I'm going to be really blending it together and darkening it up. I think I want like kind of like a dark-ish khaki green color. So mixing all these greens, especially with the Gravel Road being on here, is going to change it up a bit. Let's do a little mixing up here just to see what Gravel Road looks like with that English Ivy. If it's still too green. Like, is that too green? Can you see what I'm looking at over here? We're gonna aim you up a tiny bit more. Okay? So when this dries, it's gonna be darker. I wonder if I should have brought some more browns into this. Let's use a little bit of this dried sage. Now, dried sage is gonna be like a neutral color. It's gonna be more of the middle, right? Again, we're totally experimenting. We're just playing with paint. We're not doing anything that's 100% right here. We're just kind of deciding what kind of blending colors we like, what we really want to do, right? Like, it's just paint. You're not locked into this color. Let's try these 3 colors and see. If I want to lighten it up some more, I can always add a little bit of that beautiful, vibrant green on the sides, maybe even. Let's just see. Let's play. Let's just see. Okay, so this is going to go in the middle, and I'm going to get out my best dang brush, and we're going to mush this all together and see what happens. I think it might be a disaster, but you never know until you try. So I have my best dang brush. Yes, it looks blue. That's just like a paint stain from the last time I used it. This has been washed and clean. There's just kind of like a little bit of a powdery residue in there. I'm going to wet this. Let's mush some paint around. Let's get technical in here and see what happens. So I'm going to just like gently rub these colors together. The Gravel Road is going to keep it dark. That dried sage is going to lighten up the edges a little bit. Like, how much green do I really want on this piece? Do I want to be bold and add a lot more green? Do I not? I don't know. I'm going to stop, wipe off my brush, spray it again. This brush works best when it's dampened, okay? When you see me pushing it down, all I'm doing is pushing it onto the rag to get rid of some of the paint that's on there. I'm thinking the dried sage is too light, to be honest. I don't know if I want to go this creamy. I might come back in and add a little bit more darkness because this is looking, I mean, I can see the green, but I'm not seeing enough of the green. Let's put more green in. Okay, I'm gonna go back to English ivy and deposit a little bit more English ivy on here. Okay, I'm even gonna go back to gravel road and put a little bit of the dark in the corners. Okay, I'm gonna wipe off my brush. I'm gonna spray it. Like maybe I want the darkness that I'm seeing up here versus that dried sage. Ooh, that's better. Not hating that. There's a possibility I could come in and add a stencil over top afterwards. There's a possibility I could come in and use a bunch of wax and deepen and darken the color. I just haven't done a green piece in a while. So I felt like the call to do something a little green. Adding texture to this piece by using this Best Dang brush, these small little circular motions that you see me doing with my hand, really give a texture to the piece. So I'm covering up all of those damages that are on this piece because there are knot holes and damages and things that, you know, a smooth finish would not really be good for. Let's put some green down here. Let's take a little bit of that English ivy and put it down on the bottom part. Wipe off my brush and we'll keep going. I'm going to aim the camera down a little bit. If I miss your comments, hi Patty. If I miss your comments, I'll come back in and check them out after and answer any questions. All the paints I'm using today are from Dixie Belle Paint. Obviously, we are on the Dixie Belle Paint page. They are all water soluble. They're all VOCs, no VOCs. They're all safe to use in and around your pets and your animals, which is, I have a puppy right behind me, remember? I have puppies on the floor and I'm painting, and they wear the paint as much as I wear the paint, to be honest. Okay, this is better. See how this is turning out? See how the green is kind of traveling up? I think I want to continue that green and get rid of as much as I put down of the dried sage. I don't think I want as much of that dried sage showing. So just adding this color in is going to help take away some of that lightness. If you get any little hairs in, you can pick them out while you're working, or you can wait for them to get dry and then just give them a gentle rub and they fall off. It's very normal for natural bristle brushes to shed. And this big brush is a natural bristle brush. That's better. How are we liking this color blend? So this blend is, in the middle, the lightest color you see is the dried sage. There's the gravel road, English ivy, and I did touch it with a little tiny bit of the Everglades, but I don't think you're seeing any of it. Okay, so I'm going to stop here and see what this looks like dry. What are we thinking about this blend? This blend is definitely a little bit more creamier than I thought it would be. Is it too light? Remember, the front of this piece does have a lot of detail, and I plan on adding a lot of gold gilding wax. There's going to be a ton of gold gilding wax. There's going to be gold on the metal parts that are on here. I'll be obviously gilding all of these with gold. I just kind of thought like a greenish combo might be something that would be pretty. I haven't done like a greenish look in a long time. Do we like this green, or is it too light? If you were me, would you darken this up some, or would you stay in this kind of lighter green family? It's kind of pretty. I like the Best Dang brush for the smoked out factor it gives you. You can really see how easy it is to get in here and blend these colors around and create that smoky, circular, cloudy finish. I like to call it a cloudy finish because it really gives you kind of like a textured, cloudy look. Add some collard greens. Dun, dun, dun. I'm out of collard greens. Collard greens is like such a good color. Collard greens is like one of my #1 fave colors, and I don't have it. But nice call, because that would be the color that I would probably be using. My dog stepped in here and I had to open this can of paint. I wonder if she stepped on that. Again, safety is around your pets. Because I think she stepped on this. There's some footprints on my floor. We'll have to have a look over afterwards and see what she did. Okay, so I'm not hating this. You're right. Collard greens would be amazing because collard greens kind of has that brown khaki to it. This isn't far off. I'm not minding this. And green and gold is always a great combo, right? I could come in here with my damask stencil and add some really pretty kind of faded out gold onto the side. Remember, the hardware is a goldish color, which always looks good with green. I'm liking this. Let's continue the pattern, all right? I'm going to move up to the top. The paint that I put up there is already dry, so let's redo it. That means I'm gonna put the edges where that gravel road. We'll put the gravel road up here, and then we're gonna go into the middle and add that English ivy. I haven't done green in a while. It's funny, when you haven't done a color in a long time, it's like you get a calling to do it. And then right in the middle was that the dried sage. People would call it Spanish moss. You can see the roughness of this piece. There's like a rough couple marks of it's like a rough hewn pine. So what I'm gonna do is spray my brush, Bastang brush, spray it and wipe it because it's holding a lot of residual paint. And again, taking it, and I'm gonna hold my cabinet so it doesn't move. I'm gonna start to rub these colors together. I always start like on the outer edges where it's a little bit darker, because if you start right in the middle, what's gonna happen is that paint's gonna move. And I don't want the light to travel too much into where the dark would live. Blending is honestly that simple with this brush. You can really, really, really do a lot with this brush. So the top part is looking a little darker than the bottom. Maybe I need to add some more gravel road to this. Let's add a little bit more gravel road just to here, just to darken it up some. I'm gonna spray this because my paint's getting fairly dry and I've already finished down there. Let's continue that kind of blend. I think the gravel road is the color that I'm liking, that I'm seeing the darker shadow around the edges. Yeah, I like the gravel road. It's dulling the green. It's taking it from like too bright to softening it just a little bit. That's better. So when this dries, the texture from the small circles that I'm making is going to stay on this piece and help me hide all of those little defects. And I'll also probably do this with a brown wax to deepen and darken it even more. How do we like that green color? Is it pretty? I like it. Should we turn it around and do it to the other side? So here's the front of this piece again. It's kind of a rough hewn cabinet. It really needs some TLC in the middle. And I don't want to paint the inside. It's going to be so yuck. Hey, it's St. Patty's Day coming up. Maybe I'm doing green because it's St. Patty's Day. What do we think? And I see Patty watching on St. Patty's Day. When is St. Patrick's Day? My baby's birthday. My babies are going to be 25 this year. I have no idea how that happened. I have twin boys and they're gonna be 25 very soon, like next week soon. And they were born around St. Patrick's Day. I do remember that much from when they were born. But I don't remember, is it 17th is St. Patrick's Day? Look at that, I guess it is 17th. So their birthday is just before St. Patrick's Day. That should be fun for them, being big boys. But this is the front of the cabinet. I'm just touching the edges so I don't get any big paint globs. I think I'm gonna paint the front of it off camera so I can record it. But let's do the opposite side. Let's do the same thing again. So if you can see up here on this little cabinet at the top, there's actually like a little hole. I was going to fill it with mud and I forgot. So let's just live with it for now. We're gonna live with that hole and I'll fill it later and touch it up. But let's do the same thing to this side that we did to that. So we'll start up here. I can't believe I have children that are 25 years old. I mean, the nerve of them getting that big. It's crazy. But they're older now than when I had them. Nuts, I tell you. I don't know how that happens. They just grow. They don't stop. All right, so back into this gravel road in all of the edges. That nice brown, that nice gravel road. Let's jump into the English Ivy. Obviously, I'll paint the top the same as well. And then we did Spanish moss in the middle. And I didn't even use that palmetto today, really, or the Everglades. They were just kind of like wild cards on the floor. Let's blend this together. I've got my brush. I'm going to spray it and wipe it off. And then I'm going to hold my cabinet because when I'm on wheels, it's a little harder to blend and push. You have to use your arm muscles when you get in here with this brush. And it is a little harder to blend around the corners, but don't be discouraged. You can blend around these edges. It just takes an extra minute to really make sure that you're getting in close to the edges. Yay, so I'll make this my St. Patty's Day piece then. I kind of forgot that was coming up. And this is a good green piece. Perfect. It's faster the second time, isn't it? Cute, 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 cute. Let's go down lower. How are we doing? Can you still see? All right, again with the gravel road. And obviously I'm gonna have to turn upside down to do the feet. So they're kind of like a rounded foot on the bottom. Okay, let's get into the English Ivy. And I want a little more this time, right? Because the first time I didn't put down enough. The first time I did too much Spanish moss and it got, or dried sage. Why do I keep saying Spanish moss? It's dried sage. It's dried sage, people. Colors today are dried sage, English Ivy, gravel road, with a touch of evergreen that I touched in there and then I didn't do it again. So. Okay. Let's magically push this all together. So because I had that base coat on there, right, that stronger base coat, I'm able to really do this on the second coat and have it be done. Like I don't have to come back in and add another coat. This will be enough for this coverage because of that first layer of gravel road that I laid down. So I'm going to start to blend with my brush. Remember, this brush is a little contaminated now, right? I mean, I used it up here, so the colors are not going to mix exactly the same every time, but they are going to dry really nice. I might even take the heat gun to this just to see how it does dry together. I always start on the outside edge, making sure to kind of keep those darker colors together before I come in and start to blend the middle. I'm going to stop and wipe off my brush. Yes, ma'am. How can I help you? Luna's saying hello. Are you going? What you doing? Get out of here. No, don't go that way. Don't go that way. Don't go that way. Please don't go that way. You're going to step on all of my paint. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Okay. Let's pull up that dried sage a little bit. Spread it out. If you've never tried ombre blending before, ombre is really just the name that people use for blending, multiple colors together. This is the brush. This is the brush that's going to do it for you. This is the brush that's going to make it easy. This is the brush that gives you that nice cloudy blend. And you feel it start to pull a little bit, like if you feel some of that paint just get a little bit too dry, stop, wipe it off on your rag, give it another spray, and then continue the magic. Not everybody has to do it in a circular motion like this, but I do find this circular motion does help me hide any damages on the piece because it dries with that nice little texture. So once I'm done blending this, I'm gonna look at the other side to make sure I'm close at least, because I don't wanna be crazy far off, right? It's okay if they're not exactly the same, but I don't wanna be all the way off. FYI, if you are watching Dixie Belle's social media channels this week, you're going to see a lot of new products. People are starting to promote the brand new bells and whistles from March. This month, we are having new release happen for transfers, for brand new water slide transfers, which are a lot of fun. You got to see me last week using those. If you didn't get to see me, I did save it to my YouTube. You can go check that out at the Top Drawer RVA, but we are going to have a lot of new products coming your way soon. Make sure you check with your local retailer to see if they're doing pre-orders. This is a limited release. There are not going to be a ton of the new products available, so I do suggest if there is something that you see coming up that you really want, I wouldn't sleep on it because they are not large quantities. So just so you know, that's pretty. That's pretty. Why do I like this side better than the other side? Maybe I'm just used to it. Let's turn it around and make sure it's the same. We will check. Let's see. When will Shelby? Your dog licks your furniture? I hope it's not when you're painting. She's coming back in. I can hear her feet now. You know what it is? It's because she's the nanny dog. And she's trying to tell me that, yo, heads up, it's almost 4 o'clock. And every day at 4 o'clock, we go pick up my daughter. And we go for, Luna, do we go for a car ride? Is that what you're trying to tell me? It's time to go for a car ride? It is, almost. Just not yet. So let's just, okay, thank you. That's what it is. She's trying to tell me that. Let's go, Mom. It's time to go. All right, let's take a quick second, evaluate the situation. Make sure I didn't miss any spots. I'm gonna come in on the bottom and paint the feet later. I still have to paint the top and the front, but I wanna make sure that this side still looks, managed to look the same as this side. It does, it looks the same. Okay. I don't like that little blend there, right there though. What's that? Let's blend that out. There, it's gone. It was a weird thing. Okay, so now we have this gorgeous kind of like dark ombre, dark green blend. What should we call this? I mean, it's definitely a St. Patrick's Day piece, right? I definitely want to do green. I love the gold-ish hardware with green. I really think when I do the front, it is going to pick up on these details because I will come in. Maybe I'll paint these pure gold and then hit them with the brown wax over top to dull them a little bit. I also have that Woodubend molding on the top, and I am going to paint that drawer as well. We could do that right now and paint over top of it. But I want to have that piece painted. So think gold accents, goldish hardware. Kind of this hardware kind of looks, it's from Amazon. It kind of looks like a snake, doesn't it? Like a little bit of a dragon or something. But I'm going to put that there and drill right through. Did you know that you can drill through your Woodubends? So I often use Woodubends as like a back plate for my hardware. I had a hard time finding something that would work for this size of the drawer and the hanging of the pull because I didn't want to hang it directly in the center because I feel like it would be too low. So I'm going to hang it higher up on the molding so I can drill through the Woodubend molding very easily. Anything you can do to wood, you can do to a Woodubend molding. So that's going to go there. I have to decide if the second hardware should go in the center or off to the side. All right, so here's where I'm going to get you guys to help me, okay? I need your opinion. I like to ask for help. Mostly because I work at home and talk to my dogs more than I talk to anybody else. Knowing that this piece of hardware is going to stick up here on the top, if you were me, would you put the second piece of hardware on the door or in the middle? Hardware on the door or in the middle? I'm leaning towards in the middle. I feel like it looks a little bit classier. But originally the hardware was off to the side on the door. You could also put it up here, but that would be weird. So it needs to be on the side or the middle. I would love your opinion. Drop it in below. And I'm going to rewatch this video tonight to see what the votes are because sometimes I look at things and I'm like, I don't know where that should go. I always feel like things should kind of match. Like I don't mind because it's so ornate if it went into the middle of the drawer. So this drawer actually, even though it is like a rustic old style cabinet, when you pull the handle, there actually is a latch here. Like somebody built this for sure because this is like a little door jamb. So you won't have to pull too hard to open it up. I think that if it was in the middle, it would still work, like to pull it open. But I know that normally they're on the side. Drop in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts and details on what you would do with that. But this is the color scheme we came up with today. We did a beautiful ombre blend. I really like the green the more that I look at it with the hardware. That looks super pretty. We did a base coat of the beautiful dark, I see a spot. got distracted by myself. The beautiful gravel road, which is like that dark brown around the edges. I could even come in when it's done and like dry brush a little bit more if I wanted to. The gravel road comes into the beautiful brown English ivy. Brown, did I say brown English ivy? Green English ivy, obviously. And then in the middle, we came in with a little bit of that dried sage to just kind of balance. I didn't want it to be too green. But I did do a base coat in order to have a nice build up of paint for when I came in to do my ombre blend. So gravel road, English ivy, dried sage, ombre blend together with that best dang brush. That best dang brush is your magical tool for really getting a really pretty ombre blend. It's my go-to tool, and they're really not expensive. This is a natural and synthetic brush. They wash really well. I also use this brush for wax. So if you've never tried this brush before, I really recommend it. It's going to be essential in making your blending life super easy. So what do you think of this gorgeous green blend? Are we feeling St. Patrick's Day festive? That's kind of cool. I dig it. I like it, and I like it even more with the gold. Green and gold will be good. I'll create this little leprechaun piece, and I'll probably have it on my page before St. Patrick's Day, so stay tuned. If you're ever wondering what I'm up to on a daily basis, you can follow along on TikTok. I am posting on TikTok every single day, exactly what I'm working on at the time, as well as past projects. You can follow me on YouTube. Majority of these lives are saved to YouTube and updated with a final result photo and a voiceover so that you can learn every step. I also then add a text overlay so you can see exactly what color I'm using and when. Even though I talk a lot, sometimes you might have a question. So make sure you're following me on YouTube. Actually, I'm kind of pumped. I just hit almost 1 million views on YouTube. That's kind of crazy. I'm like at 950,000, which is wonderful. I put a lot of effort into that YouTube. So I would love it if you would head over there, give me a like and a follow. And I will hang around and be here next week. And we'll start something else. We'll start a brand new project. I hope you enjoyed this today. Thank you for letting me talk through the process. Sometimes just talking it through is enough to push me in the right creative direction. And thank you for bearing with my puppy dog and puppy dog love, because I can't bear to shut the doors and lock them out. It would break my heart. Thank you everybody for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to message me. I'm always around to help. My name is Melissa. I'm one of Dixie Belle's brand ambassadors, and I answer every single message I get. I love to help you on your creative journey. I'm also a social media coach, so if you have questions about social media and learning to grow online, I do have a Coaching for Creatives group that is open for enrollment, so you can always send me a message about that as well. I am happy to help get all the eyes on you and build your brand the quick and easy way. That's it for me, folks. I'll see you next Wednesday at 3 p.m. Take care, everybody. Bye.
So I continued the rest of the project off camera, obviously off the live, and I just finished it up. I did the same thing to the drawer that I did to the base and the sides. I did that kind of ombre blend with the same colors we used in the live video. And once that was done, I was left with a really pretty little cabinet. I love the way it turned out. I considered putting on a stencil a little bit, but I really didn't want to mess with the really pretty lines. I love all the details on this piece, and I think that this beautiful green turned out really well. Thanks for watching me today. I had a great time hanging out and playing with paint. If you have any questions, you're always welcome to send me a message. I am available all the time. It's just little old me behind my phone. And you can find me on all social media at the Top Drawer RVA. Thank you.